Every single year, university dining halls throw out thousands of pounds of perfectly good food.
It's a huge number.
A massive operational problem, really. It hits budgets, it hits sustainability goals.
But for a group of engineering students at Georgia Tech, they didn't really see it as a failure.
No, they saw it as a challenge, something you could solve with data, with design, and a whole lot of AI.
And that's what we're digging into today. This startup, Raccoon Eyes AI. It's a really fascinating story.
They're blending smart hardware, analytics, and surprisingly, a lot of behavioral science to tackle food waste on campus.
Right.
So we're going to unpack how they actually measure the waste, which is, step one.
And then the crucial part, how they figure out the root causes.
Is it just a bad recipe or the portion's too big?
Yeah, and then how do they turn that data into something actionable for the dining teams, something that actually saves money?
What I think is so smart here is how they completely reframe the whole conversation.
They do. They move it away from this blame game.
Totally. Kitchens blaming students, students complaining about the food.
Instead, it becomes this clear, measurable opportunity. An opportunity for, well, for getting better and for students to be more mindful.
So our mission for you today is to really understand all the pieces, the tech, the behavior, the operations, that turned a senior design project into a scalable, money-saving solution.
Let's start at the beginning, the origin story.
Right. So Raccoon Eyes AI, it was basically born from just observation.
Simple as that. The founders at Georgia Tech just noticed something in the dining halls.
Students were scraping nearly full plates into the trash.
And at the same time, kitchen staff were getting rid of these huge untouched trays of food at the end of the day.
It wasn't some, abstract problem. You could see it right there.
So their first approach was, well, it was really hands-on.
They set up sensors, some vision systems to track what was being thrown out.
And this is the best part. They actually stood right next to the trash cans.
Just asking students directly.
Yeah, just, hey, why are you throwing that away?
That's some real ground-level data collection.
It is.
At the time, one of the co-founders, Ivan Zhu, he just called it a cool project. But that changed. And it changed fast.
It did. They won a Best Overall Project at Georgia Tech's Capstone Expo.
And that validation, that was the moment, right?
That was the pivotal moment. It went from a cool student project to a full-fledged company with real momentum.
Because they realized the long-term value wasn't just in the hardware, in the tracking.
Exactly. It was in using the data to help the dining teams make smarter, proactive decisions.
Things like adjusting recipes, planning menus better.
And critically, getting the students involved in the effort.
So this really reframed their entire mission. It wasn't just about tracking trash anymore.
For the kitchens, the message became waste is an opportunity.
An opportunity to improve operations and, frankly, save a lot of money.
And for the students, the focus shifted to mindfulness.
Right, inspiring them to waste less by just showing them the impact of their choices.
All without guilt trips or being preachy about it. It just changes how you see the whole problem.
Okay, so they're seeing the problem. How does the tech actually start to solve it? What are the nuts and bolts here?
Well, it's a really smart dual system.
Okay.
First, you have the AI-powered food scanner. That's the quantitative part.
So it's automatically measuring what's on the plate being thrown away.
Exactly. It gives these super detailed insights about what is being tossed, down to the specific dish.
And then right next to that scanner, you have the second piece.
The feedback kiosk. This is the low-tech qualitative tool.
And this is where they ask those quick questions, right?
Yeah, right after you dump your plate, it might ask, how was the fried chicken today? Or, what's your favorite dessert?
So that's how they connect the numbers to the motivation.
That's it. The scanner gives them the what and the how much.
And the kiosk gives them the potential why.
Was it the recipe? Was the label confusing? Were the portions just way off?
And the examples they found are pretty incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one kitchen found out they were wasting 70% of their meatballs. 70.
And the reason was just that they weren't seasoned properly. That's it.
So they tweaked the recipe.
And waste dropped by 70%. It's a huge operational lever from such a tiny change.
That is a massive reduction. But I have to ask, how reliable is that kiosk data?
That's a fair question.
I mean, aren't students just tapping whatever to get back to class? Is there survey fatigue?
Well, the system is designed to use the kiosk to validate the AI's findings, not be the sole driver. So if the AI sees a huge spike in waste for one item, The kiosk responses for that same item, they usually spike too. It provides that behavioral proof.
Like the vegan chicken nuggets. That was a great example.
Perfect example. Students were throwing them away because they didn't realize they were plant-based. They just thought it was bad chicken.
So the kiosk feedback pointed to a labeling issue.
Exactly. They improved the signs, and the problem was fixed, like, immediately.
And they were saving money just on production runs.
Right. Data showed a dessert station they were making way too much cobbler every single day.
So they just adjusted the schedule, saved on ingredients, labor, everything.
It's that link,
Yeah.
linking the data to the why. That's the difference between seeing a problem and actually fixing it.
But data on its own doesn't really change habits. And that brings us to the behavioral part of
A
it.
fun part.
Yes, the part embodied by their mascot, Rowdy the raccoon.
Rowdy is their way of encouraging mindful eating without being, aggressive or preachy. It's all about these playful little nudges.
And those nudges are informed by the AI data.
Absolutely. They'll put up signs near the serving lines with Rowdy on them, just reminding students, take only what you'll eat.
Or they'll run monthly campaigns through the kiosks.
Focused on whatever the highest waste item of the week was, according to the scanner.
They also do these big campus-wide events, right? The See the Waste events.
Yeah, where they get students to guess the total weight of all the food waste they've collected that semester.
And that makes the problem so much more real. It's not an abstract number anymore. It's a physical pile.
It's a really smart strategy, and as they point out, it's rooted in some pretty established behavioral science.
It's not a new idea, fundamentally.
Not at all. It draws from campaigns like Denver Water's Use Only What You Need.
Or even going way back.
Way back to the WWII food conservation programs in the UK. It just shows that clear, simple messaging has always been powerful for changing behavior.
And I think it's important to emphasize for you, listening, that the tech and the data, that's all the intelligence.
But the lasting change, the sustained reduction in waste, that comes from the student engagement.
You can't just throw a machine at a human problem and expect it to work on its own.
So true.
Okay, so how does this all work as a business? How do they keep the lights on?
It's a pretty straightforward B2B subscription model.
So universities are licensing the hardware and the software.
Right. On annual contracts, they get the scanners, the kiosks, and access to these really critical analytics dashboards.
And with that dashboard, they can track their costs, their sustainability metrics.
And they often see a clear return on investment, an ROI, in just a single semester.
Wow.
Yeah, just from buying few ingredients.
And to get from that initial Georgia Tech project to where they are now, that required some serious support.
For sure. They started out bootstrapped, personal savings, small grants.
But they got momentum pretty quickly.
They did. Support from Village Capital and Georgia Tech's own CreateX accelerator was huge.
And that helped them get from a student prototype to actual scalable pilots on different campuses.
Right.
And now, as a growing AI company, the technical backend they need to run this is, well, it's pretty complex.
It is. You're processing thousands of images a day. They're relying on big cloud services like Azure and AWS for all that data processing and storage.
And what's really fascinating to me is how global their support system has to be to make this local change happen.
Yes. To train their AI models, they need a ton of accurately labeled food images.
And they can't do that all themselves.
No way. So they use specialized firms to source overseas annotation support.
So you have remote teams literally looking at images of food waste.
And manually labeling them. That's a meatball. That's a piece of broccoli. This human-in-the-loop process is absolutely essential for training the AI to be accurate.
So a very local sustainability effort is actually leaning pretty heavily on a global data supply chain.
It has to.
Okay, so let's recap the key takeaways here.
Yeah.
The solution that works for campus food waste seems to be this combination of high-tech and low-tech.
Definitely. You need the AI scanning and analytics.
But you also need the simple feedback kiosks and, of course, the playful mascot, Rowdy the raccoon, to drive that behavioral change.
And if you zoom out to the bigger picture, Raccoon Eyes AI is really proving a point.
Which is?
That this kind of localized sustainability, success like saving some unseasoned meatballs in a dining hall in Georgia, it depends on a surprisingly complex global support system.
You're talking about the funding accelerators, the cloud services, the international teams labeling data.
All of it. All of that is required to efficiently train the models that make the local solution work.
So, you now know that to fight food waste on a local college campus, you need a global tech infrastructure to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Hmm.
And that raises an interesting question for you to think about. In what other seemingly simple local sustainability efforts might these complex global data supply chains be secretly doing the crucial invisible work? Something for you to chew on.